Hi, I'm Lee Iridium. Hope everyone's doing all right today. It's reaction time. We've got the huge band Journey. Absolutely love Journey, man. Been a fan since the early 80s, really. Absolutely fell in love with Journey from from that early 80s period. Didn't really get into them in their 70s period, but been a fan since the 80s easily. I think they're possibly my favourite AOR band ever. So a huge band for me. They got an album coming out July the 8th called Freedom. The new single is out. It is out today, called You Got the Best of Me. And man, I just love this band. I've loved nearly everything about, all their little changes they've had, every singer they've had. I think they've been brilliant, all the way through their career. I really do. I mean, it's hard to live up to the likes of Steve Perry, one of the best singers ever. But you know what, Arnell's a great singer. You had Steve Augeri, he was absolutely brilliant. Even Jeff Scott Soto, though he didn't record anything, what a brilliant singer. They really can choose great singers. And like I said, Arnell's no exception. So it's going to be being released on Frontiers. They're part of it as well, and it's also being released on BMG for the rest of the world. So on Frontiers, they're releasing it in Europe, in the UK and Japan, and BMG are releasing it in the rest of the world. So really excited about hearing this. I love the other single, by the way. I thought it was absolutely superb. The Way We Used to Be, that was what it was called. This one's called You Got the Best of Me. Without further ado, this is Journey, You Got the Best of Me. Here we go. Going to give it a quick stop there, guys. Always do halfway through. So man, I just think they're great at whatever they attempt to do. You know, whatever in this, I think they're going back even more. You know, they're going back to a bit of their 70s sound, I would say. For sure, they're getting some influence from there, but a bit of a mixture of that and their early 80s sound, I would say. I mean, what I'm listening to when I'm listening to this, it really gives me shades of the Departure album for me. That's, you know, just when they was coming out, just before Escape, coming into their Escape, and Departure came out, and it was veering towards their 80s sound. I think this is what, for me, this sounds like. I mean, it sounds brilliant. They've almost Arnel as well on this, and he was going this way with the Eclipse album, almost going, you know, finding his own feet in the band for sure. I mean, when they came out with I think it's Revelation, his first album, you know, it was almost, you know, I could hardly tell the difference between him and Steve Perry. I thought he was so close, but I preferred Arnel on the Eclipse album because he started to find his own voice a little bit, started to sound a bit different, even more so now, I would say. You know, I would say Steve Augeri sounded more like Steve Perry, definitely now, than Arnel does. But that's not a bad thing. I think it, you know, gives him his own sort of character in the band. You can't say now that he's a Steve Perry copy. He just sounds amazing on this, but he's got his own voice as well. Sort of not as immediate as I thought it might be. You know, the hooks are not as immediate. They were the second time round. But that's not always a bad thing, because I think I tend to love albums more that are growers and they last longer for me, and they keep my interest longer, and that sounds like what this is going to be. The hooks are very understated, if you like, you know, that and the main hook is sort of driven by that synth that's going through that chorus. So the synths are quite heavy on this song. Sort of reminds me again a little bit of the Frontiers album, you know, where the synths were quite high in the mix. It had that real, almost futuristic sound in 1983. But here, obviously, we're talking about 2022. So it's a different sort of feeling it gives you. But I think it's taken a little bit of influence from that. So it's almost a bit like, an example of this might be the Scorpions album that came out this year. There's bits and pieces you hear on that and remind you of certain albums from the 70s. There's certain albums that remind you of their 80s period. And I think this is maybe what Journey are going for. Taking, you know, later on in their career, they may be giving you a roundup of everything they're about. And you can understand that. The guitar's quite high in the mix. You know, I can hear Neil Schon, his guitar quite high in the mix. The only thing that worries me a little bit, and it's nothing about the music still, is the way that Eclipse was received by the fans. I mean, I want this to be a huge success, this album, you know, and I love the two songs. I know the Journey fans didn't take to Eclipse too well because it was more of a different departure for them. It was a heavier sound, almost progressive in feel. And the Journey fans, I think probably from the 80s, didn't get on too well with it. Maybe it was a bit too heavy for them, a bit too intricate. They wanted something a bit more straightforward, a bit more, you know, commercial sounding maybe. And I think they seem to be going that way with these two singles. They're not immediate. I love them. And I loved Eclipse more than I did Revelations. So I don't know, perhaps they are heading the same sort of way as Eclipse. I'm sort of glad they are, for me, because I fucking love it. But there you go. Let's listen to the rest of this. Can't wait to see if Neil Schon does a solo, but here we go. He should do. He always does, doesn't he? Here we go.
You got
Yeah, man, I love it. I mean, it's almost that 70s feel was even more coming out like the extended part of the end. So their progressive feel again coming out a bit there. You know, weren't expecting it. That instrumental part. Again, like I said, the more experimental, more progressive feel of Journey, of their 70s period for sure. I did notice, I was thinking as well when I was listening to that, it's got a real live feel about the recording. It really does have a live feel, almost like you're in a stadium or something. It has a great sound to it, different again. I think they're definitely trying to capture, you know, that nostalgia of their 70s period and early 80s for sure. Absolutely love it. Absolutely brilliant. And the guitar solo was just pure Neil Schon. It was pure, he's like hung out notes, sort of following a melody. Man, he's just so distinctive, and you know, his guitar sound. And if you hear anything like that guitar solo, you would say that's inspired by Neil Schon, because he's that big and he's that, you know, he's just looked up to by so many musicians and fans like myself. I love the way he plays. I just think it's always about the melody. He might add some intricate bits on the end of his like notes he's playing, but that melody he plays, it's all about the song all the time. Absolutely brilliant. Neil Schon is absolutely excellent. So Journey, You Got the Best of Me, absolutely love it. It really struck me, this one. I think it's a great track. So you got the album coming out called Freedom, July the 8th 2022. Getting a little bit excited about this one. I can't wait. Let me know what you think about this song in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.